When I saw gather round, east and wide wonder, at the door they found. All right, welcome out to Gridiron 64 podcast, where today we'll be talking about week 4 of the high school schedule, where this is the part of the podcast where the guys and I will be making predictions on the games that are on the Gridiron 64 schedule. So I've got Johnny Z and Tony back with me today, this Sunday, early Sunday afternoon, to talk high school sports before we get into the NFL later on today. So, guys, how you guys doing? Tony, doing all right today?
I'm doing all right, man. Glad to see football, NFL football back on the TV.
Absolutely. Johnny, how you doing today?
Doing good. Full football, full of college football, pro football. We're all in there now.
It's great, man. It's great. I saw a couple of good games yesterday on college too. So, so we've got 11 games on our schedule that we'll be talking about. We'll probably be talking about some teams that we so far early in this season have not talked about. I don't know how much information we'll have on those teams, but we'll give you the best predictions we can. And we'll also be talking back. The Rockville Ford Pirates will be back on this Friday to take on that high-powered offense of the Miller Bucks. They'll be coming into Pirate Country. So that'll be the last game that we'll talk about today, as the guys and I probably have a little bit more thought on that game. And, and it's going to be very interesting to see who Johnny and Tony are going to predict to get that win, since the three of us, we're from Rockport. So that'll be the last game that we'll talk about. So, guys, if you're ready, we'll go ahead and get things started with the first game that we'll be talking about today on our schedule will be the Ingleside Mustangs, and they'll be playing the Carrizo Springs. I believe they're the Wildcats. So it's Carrizo Springs and Ingleside. And so, Johnny, I'm going to let you take this one first. Who do you think will win that game, Ingleside or Carrizo Springs?
I'm going to go with a lot of these. Well, I would say a lot of these. Some of these I'm going by head-to-head competition already, games played in past and previous weeks. So I was looking at Ingleside, beating Aransas in overtime. They're coming off that big win. Aransas was keeping up with them, and Ingleside pulled it off and stuff like that. And Carrizo has already lost to Aransas this year, 14-7. So I'm gonna go with Carrizo. I'm going with Ingleside on this one. I'm gonna go with Ingleside with this one, just because of a head-to-head matchup in previous weeks.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. Tony, who do you got? Ingleside or Carrizo Springs?
Well, I believe Aransas Pass, that was their win, right? They beat Carrizo 2 weeks ago. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. So just based off of that, and then Ingleside, of course, beating Aransas Pass Friday. I'm gonna have to go with Ingleside hands down. I think Ingleside has something that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I gotta agree with both of you guys. I'm going with the Mustangs. I haven't seen Carrizo Springs play at all. This will be the first week, this upcoming Friday, that we'll actually see them on the football field, highlights on them and stuff. And but I gotta agree with you guys. I don't see Ingleside losing the game. I do think when they did struggle against Ingleside and won by that point. Aransas Pass, and they lost, but they won by that 1 point. I do believe part of that is just the two teams. They're just a few miles apart from each other, and so it doesn't matter which team is having a good season and the other team may not be having such a good season. When those two teams meet on that football field, there's something special there, and they want to win, so they give their all. And I think that's exactly what we saw from Kansas Pass and Ingleside on Friday night. And Ingleside pulled it out. So I see Ingleside beating Carrizo Springs. I'm not going to give a prediction because I haven't seen Carrizo Springs, but I'm going to go ahead and go with the Mustangs on Friday. I think they'll get the win. The next game that we'll talk about, you've got Robstown playing against the Tuoso Midway Warriors. Tony, who do you have? The Cotton Pickers, or you got the Warriors?
Well, Robstown let me down last week. Should have been not an easy win, but should have been a win for them. Leading that whole game. They proved to me already that they can't play 4 quarters of football. So I'm gonna go with TM.
Johnny, who do you got?
Yeah, Robstown has yet to show me any kind of full 4 quarters and stuff like that. And looking at TM, they I wouldn't say they had a shootout with Miller. But hey, it was almost the same score that Sitton played against Miller too. This one was 62-20. So, you know, TM might have got blown out that game and stuff like that. But hey, they somewhat kept up with them. They could have got been even worse than that. If it was close like that for Sitton at one time. So I'm gonna go with TM on this one.
I got to go with the Warriors too. Their size on that line is going to give, I think, Rocktown's defense a lot of issues, a lot of problems. I don't see that Rocktown defense stopping Toloso Midway's offense and that run game that they have. They could do it against a smaller school, even though they were leading a little bit. They didn't play the 4 quarters, like Tony said. And it's just going to be very tough for that Rossdown defense to stop Miller. To stop TM. One thing I can say about the Warriors is that when they lost to Miller, there was a lot of missed tackles. Now, Miller still might have scored anyway, but there were just so many missed tackles that TM had that I saw in that first week. So I don't know. It was the first week. I don't know if that's really going to be the TM team that we're going to be seeing down the road when the regular season, when the district starts. So I think TM is going to win, but I think they're going to win big. I don't think this is going to be uh, um, a close game. I think they're going to blow them out from the get-go. And I'm looking at TM to score maybe in the 30s, maybe in the 40s over. Robstown may get a touchdown or two, but this is going to be all Toloso Midway. So I'm sticking with the Warriors over the Tide Pickers in this game. I'm going to let Tony take this next one. If this West Oso Bears, they're going to be going up against the London Pirates. Oh, man.
Well,
so who do you got? You got the Bears or you got the London Pirates?
I'm a bear at heart, but the way I seen London play the last few weeks, they almost beat Orange Grove. Orange Grove bullied Sinton a few weeks ago. They hung with them. Uh, so I think that London's gonna take this one. I think West Coast comes out ready to play, but again, they haven't played two halves of a game yet. So I think London's gonna take it. It pains me to say that, but I think London's gonna take it. I feel pretty confident about that.
Johnny, feel the same way?
Same way. I'm going with London just because the head up they had with Orange Grove, and Orange Grove ain't no fluke around the area and stuff like that we've been seeing. So they hung with Orange Grove, and also has to show me no offense this year. They're averaging 6 points a game. You can't win ball games 6 points a game. So it's easy. I'm going with London on this one.
Yeah, this is going to be another one of those TM Roughdown predictions. I don't see how West Oso, beats London. I think London's got a high power offense. They hung with Orange Grove. That's another good team in the area. And, I think West Oso is still trying to figure things out. It's going to take a while for these guys. I don't even think this game will be competitive for West Oso. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see that. And I think this is going to be a score where London is going to beat them by a few touchdowns. I just don't see that West Oso defense being able to stop London. So, not making a prediction, but I'm gonna say it's going to be 3+ touchdowns that I think London beats West Oso on Friday. So we'll see what happens. But I'm definitely going London as well. And then another game that we'll have on our schedule will be the Sitton Pirates. They're going to be playing Poteet. Johnny, who do you have, Poteet or Sitton? I think Sitton might actually get their first win of the season.
I'm going to go with Sitton on this one. Sitton's been scoring some points. They haven't been finishing the games, but they've been scoring some points. And even though their defense gives up 51 points a game, it's hard to pick another team that's 3-0 like Poteet. But the way I look back as far as Poteet goes, their 3-0 is against their combined teams of the other ones they won against are 0-8. So they haven't played no competition either. So you're looking at 3-0. All the 3 wins are against combined win losses 0-8. So that's their 3 wins over there. So Sitton's gonna score some points, and I think Sitton's gonna get their first win. I think they're gonna get it easily this game.
Yeah, Tony.
3-0 versus 0-3. That's tough. Man, Poteet. They played some teams that are not really anything special, but they had big wins. I mean, they were pretty big wins. Almost a shutout against Pleasanton. I mean, 36-0 against Bandera. It's hard for me to pick Sinton. Okay, I'm gonna say this. I want Sinton to win because they're in our district, and I want our district teams to perform well in the preseason. But I'm gonna have to go with Poteet just because it's 3-0 versus 0-3. Yeah.
Something different.
Looking at Sinton, that offense, I really got a good look at Sinton this past Friday against Miller. When they played Orange Grove, the first week, I just kind of saw what they did. They went 3 rounds, so they went 3 rounds like Rockport, and I saw last year's Rockport game. We beat Sinton convincingly. I mean, there wasn't. I will never in any danger that Rockport was going to put that game to Sinton last year. So when they went 3 rounds, I kind of thought, okay, this team got better as the season progressed because they weren't that good when we played them. Of course, we played them early on in the district, early on in the season, at the start of the district. So I said, let's go 3 rounds. They've gotten better, and their passing game I think got better, and so I expected them to do a lot this year. And so when they played Orange Grove, I was shocked that they lost to Orange Grove. I really didn't know how good Orange Grove was. I knew they had some receivers, and I knew they had this quarterback. But I didn't think this quarterback in Orange Grove was going to shine the way he shined so far early on in the season. So that loss was okay. I'll see what happens. But then when they played Beeville, they had another lapse, which I thought Sinton was the better team against Beeville, and yet they didn't pull that win out. And of course, I didn't predict that they would beat Miller. But the way I saw them playing Miller, man, that second half it was almost like they didn't even try. They got blown out. And I didn't expect that. I didn't expect them to beat Miller, but I didn't expect that they would play that way. It's like you come out and it's the first half sit and you're like, wow, this team they're on fire, man. They're going to go toe to toe with these guys. And then the second half comes and that offense is nowhere to be found. I mean, they just fell completely apart. They didn't score a point in the second half. They couldn't get anything going when they were almost unstoppable the first half. So I don't know if it's just coaching, adjustments to the coach. I mean, you can make some adjustments, but just flat out not be able to move the ball, not get anything going in the third and fourth quarter. You almost couldn't be stopped. I guess the thing you can also say about that is it's not drives that they're sustaining. They're just big drives. Some of that was sitting Miller's defense just falling apart and allowing those things to happen. So it's not like, when you look and say, man, they hung with the high power offense of Miller. Well, it's really Miller's defense that let that happen because they really didn't sustain any drives. It's just going up in the air and throwing that ball and making big plays like Miller did. So Sinton really didn't impress me either with no run game. They didn't sustain drives where they just really bullied the defense. So, I'm not too fond of Sinton right now in week 4. I don't know. What they'll do as the season progresses. But for this game against Poteet, I think they'll be able to win it. I know Poteet's got some wins, but they were against some teams that, and I think that these games that Sinton has lost to, like Miller and Orange Grove, I think that's going to help them against Poteet. So I don't see Poteet beating Sinton. I do believe that Sinton will get their first win this week. But if I'm not mistaken, they'll have a tough opponent next week. So they need to get this win on Friday to feel better about themselves before they get into district play. So I'm telling you, if they lose this game, this is going to be really bad for Sinton. But I don't see that happening. So I think that they'll pull this game out against Poteet. So I'm going to pick the Sydney Pirates to win on Friday over Poti. And some of the other games that we got in the area will be the Navarro Panthers versus the Cuero Gobblers. So it's been a while since we actually seen Cuero, since Rockfords played Cuero, but we did see Navarro, but not too long ago. So Johnny, who do you have? Do you have the Gobblers of Cuero winning this game, or do you
Man,
have
I've been picking Cuero last, I think, twice this year, and they've let me down real bad. I thought Cuero was going to be their, I would say their build-up year. I thought there'd be the year they finally turn it around, but looks like it's going to be another disappointing year for Cuero. Now, this is one of the other matchups that I saw, a previous head-to-head matchup, which they both played Lavernia, and Navarro lost to Lavernia just barely 28-19, and Cuero lost to Lavernia 55-21, so there was a big difference in those two games and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna go by off of that, not only because Navarro is Navarro, just because of that head-to-head matchup. I think Cuero still needs another year to build up because they're looking not as impressive of previous years and stuff like that. So I think they needed something else to get going over there. So I'll go with Navarro on this one.
Tony, who do you got, Navarro or Cuero?
I don't even think that it's gonna be a game. I think this is one of those games where Navarro just puts the beat down on Cuero. You know what I mean? They're out there kind of in the same area. And I think that Navarro is kind of running that area right now. And I think Navarro's gonna put a whipping on Cuero. I think that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you guys. I don't see Cuero. 2 years ago they won that state title, and then last year they really and being that we were gonna have to go through Cuero. Eventually we lost to Navarro, but had we beat Navarro 2 years ago, then we would have ended up playing Cuero. And that was a Cuero team that was dominant, and it shows by them going all the way to state and winning the big championship. Last year it was a down season for them. They just didn't make the playoffs or anything. So they go from state title, they go from champs to not even making the playoffs. And so I thought, like Johnny, that this would be a year because Cuero really doesn't stay down very long. They're like a sitting Pirate team. If they got a year or two down, they ain't gonna stay down for very long. They get right back up. So I thought that this year would be a year that Cuero would bounce back, but it doesn't seem like that's happening so far. In this early season. And, I don't know that they're even going to make the playoffs. They might be sitting out watching the playoffs from home for the second year in a row. So Navarro is still a powerhouse down there. They made the playoffs last year. They lost to Wimberley, but Wimberley went all the way to state. So I'm going to pick Navarro again. And based on what I saw, same thing Johnny saw, Lavernia is a really good team. And even though Navarro lost to Lavernia, they hung in there for 4 quarters. Cuero was beat from the get-go. They never really had a chance to beat Lavernia. So I'm going to take Navarro over Cuero to win that game, and I think, like Tony said, I think it's going to be a pretty convincing win. I don't see that game being close at all. We've got the Odom Owls playing the Karns City Badgers. Now I don't know very much about Karns City. I don't know if you guys do, but Tony, I'll let you take this one. You got Odom Owls. They just barely got their first win, I think, last week. So, are you taking Karns City, or are you going to go with the Coastal Bend team, the Odom Owls?
Looking this up real quick. I think Odom is one of those schools too that I would say doesn't stay down long in the 3A district. I mean, they don't really do well in the playoffs, but usually in district they're very competitive. I'm surprised at the record this season so far, but I think Karns City they're both small town. But I think just because of history, I think Odom's probably going to take that one. They got the momentum coming from their previous win.
Johnny, they're coming off a win. What do you think? Can they sustain?
That's exactly what I was going to say. They're coming off a 4-quarter win. They busted through. It was also, but no matter who you play, you still got to play those full 4 quarters, and they pulled it off at the end. Which many people thought they were done. So, and I looked up at Kansas City. They're 0-3, and their defense is giving up 46 points a game. So, yeah, that's not too sweet by them. So, I think Odom's going to get this one.
Yeah, I'm taking Odom too. I saw the same thing. Carson City doesn't impress me. Odom could be turning it around. They did play 4 quarters. And, one win, as you guys very well know, because you played high school ball. Man, if you're having a down season, one win can turn it around. It just takes one win. One win can turn a whole team around, man. So I think Odom, the impressive win that they had last week, hopefully will turn that team around and get them in the right direction. And then they win this game, right? And now we've got 2 wins under our belts, and so now you're starting to feel pretty good when you come to practice next week, and you're like, hey, maybe we'll turn this thing around, and so you never know what can happen for the rest of the season as you get into district play. So I'm going to take Odom also because Carson City doesn't impress me at all. So I'm going to be taking the Odom Mouse, but I am going to say this about district. Odom better get it together really quickly, man, because those Greyhounds will be coming into town, or they're going to be going into TAP. I don't know, but they're going to be playing. And the way those TAP Greyhounds are playing right now, man, if I'm Odom, I'm really scared of that team. That team, 3 weeks have had 3 impressive wins. They haven't even been close. They've been dominating on both sides of the ball. Odom has been winning that district for the last couple of years with really no competition at all. And I don't think that's going to be the case this year. I think TAP, well, I'm not going to make that prediction in that district just yet because it's early on. But, man, I'm liking what I see from the Greyhounds down there. And it just may be that when Odom and TAP meet up this year, they may have a new district, champs. We'll see what happens. But at least for this week, I'm taking the Odom out to beat Carson City. We'll see what happens later on in the season. And then speaking of those TAP Greyhounds, we have the Greyhounds playing against the Kennedy Lions. So, Johnny, I'll ask you, who do you have? Do you have the TAP Greyhounds or do you have the Kennedy Lions?
I think TAP has this easily. I think this would be the blowout of the week. TAP is just scoring those points, man. They're a very explosive team. It's going to be they got that one win against Skidmore, and that just don't impress me too much. They only got 2 games under the belt, but still, the way TAP has been playing, it's very impressive. So I think this will be the blowout for me on this week.
Do you want to make a prediction?
Woo! Let's
go.
It was
so good since you were so good in that Miller sitting. You were right on point, man. I thought I'd ask, man. You might be on point again.
Let's go 49-12.
49-12. That's TAP Greyhounds, right? 49-12.
Yeah.
Okay. Tony, do you agree with Johnny, or are you going to be going the other way?
Oh no, definitely. The Greyhounds are going to take this game. That's hands down. I think Taft. I mean, it's been a while since they've seen this kind of streak. And I mean 3-0. I think they get this win. They're 4-0. I think they even win next week, and they're 5-0. And they're playing Refugio 5-0. Yeah, in 2 weeks they play Refugio. I think they're going to come. And they're gonna be 5-0 when they play Refugio, and they're gonna have a lot of confidence. So I think I like what the Greyhounds are doing. I think they needed these wins to get those boys motivated. They were one of those teams where they didn't know if they were going to play football because of everything going on with the Corona. But man, shoot, with 1 week of practice, they came and got a win. I mean, they want it. They're thirsty. I mean, I'm gonna make a prediction. I think they're district champs this year.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait a couple more weeks, but yeah, I think you're onto something. And I don't know if you guys know, but this coach down there in TAP, I think this is his 2nd year, or is it his 1st year? Is he there last year? Does anybody know? I'm not sure. I know he hasn't been there more. He hasn't been. This is either his 1st year or this is his 2nd year. And I want to say This is his second year. But what a job he's done so far, right? Because last year, Tap wasn't even in the playoffs. They didn't even make the playoffs. And to come now this season and start off 3-0, like Tony said, I mean, this team could actually be going 5-0 before they play a higher ranked team, right? It's amazing what Tap has been able to do in a short period of time. Not to mention with the virus, not having a normal 2 preseason games to really get going, not really even having 2 days, and to be able to come out and play the way they play just kind of shows, that those last couple of years, man, these guys have been getting better. Maybe it didn't show, getting in the playoffs, but they've been getting better. And to come out this year, I'm gonna be with you, man. I'm not gonna make that prediction just yet. But here very shortly, man, I'm gonna make that prediction because I'm leaning toward the same way Tony is. I don't see unless Odom just turns it around and makes it, really, this district is the Tap to lose. So it's going to be really good, man. We're going to keep an eye on those Greyhounds week in and week out and see what they do, especially when they play those Bobcats. You said, what week is that they're playing Refugio?
That's in 2 weeks. They got Hebronville next week, and then be Refugio.
So they potentially could be undefeated going, Refugio and then Refugio. Hey, Tony, let me ask you, do you know offhand, where's that game going to be played at? Is that in Tap or Refugio?
Oh, let me check that right now.
I want to say that I seen it at the beginning of the season. I thought they were traveling to Refugio, but I'm not sure on that.
No, it's a home game. Actually, Refugio's not going to have any home games this year, from what I heard.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so it's in Taft.
ooh, man, Tap's just a little ways off there. I don't know, man. Ooh, man, that might be a game that. Woo, we'll see what happens in 2 weeks. But at least for this week, I'm taking the Greyhounds too. I don't see them losing. So I think they stay undefeated after this week. We're going to go ahead and go on to bigger schools. We've got the Somerset Bulldogs. We're going to be taking on the Beeville Trojans. And so, Tony, who do you have? Do you have Beeville bouncing back, or will Somerset take this win?
Um, Beeville got a come from behind win against Sinton. Let's see. Who did they play last week?
Canyon Lake.
Canyon Lake, and they lost, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's see. Hmm. Man, Somerset only has one game before this, and they played against Sealy, which Sealy's usually pretty good, and they got whipped. But can Beeville turn it around? That's a good question. You know, uh, I'm gonna go with Beeville. I'm gonna go with Beeville. This one's a tough one for me, just because Somerset is hasn't really been a powerhouse over the past few years, but they've been competitive. Uh, and Beeville, I mean, man, Beeville. I think with the come from behind win against Simpson and the way they were able to play those 4 quarters, I think Beeville's gonna win. I think Beeville's gonna win.
Tony's taking Beeville. Johnny, who do you got? You got Carn City, or you got Beeville?
You mean Somerset or Beeville?
Somerset.
Yes,
Uh,
Somerset.
I'm going with Beeville just because they got 3 games under their belts, and really they weren't no pushover teams. Neither three of them. Somerset is hard to say it right now because they only got that one game under the belt, and as Tony saw, they got their butts pretty well whipped by Sealy. Um, so going on a big loss, you know, maybe if the game was closer, I might have gone the other way, but I think still playing these other 3 teams, like I said, weren't pushover teams, and even though B was 1 and 2, I'm gonna go with Beeville on this one.
Yeah, I'm going Beeville too. I have confidence in Coach Sosa. I'm not really looking at the records. I think Beaver will come out. They'll be competitive. I think they'll come out with this win. And when I first saw that it was on their schedule, I had I'm gonna take Beaver. I really do believe Beaver will win this game, and they need this win. Beaver needs this win before they get into district. Like I said, a win always gives you confidence in your players, and they need this win. I think they need it to get in that district because I think they'll be fighting for that last spot in their district because they're not going to take the first three. I don't think so.
Nah.
They need this win to continue to keep those boys and people up there because I think they're good enough to make the playoffs to take that last spot in their division. But I don't know much about Somerset. Like I do know, like Tony said, they haven't been the powerhouse that they were a few years ago when Rockport was playing them back in division when we were in Division 1. They're competitive, but they haven't been that dominant. So I think that Beagle has enough to beat this team. So I'm going to take Beagle as well. I think they'll win. I don't know if they'll blow them out, but they'll win. So I'm sticking with Beagle. And then you have the Gonzales Apaches, and they're going to play the Lavernia Bears. Now, this is going to be a good one. John, I'm ready to go first. You got Lavernia, you got Gonzales.
I'm gonna go with Lavernia. Because Lavernia, man, I mean, I don't know what they feed them up there, but they have been very competitive the last 5 or 6 years that I could think of. I mean, Rockport could have a really good season and play Lavernia in the preseason and lose. I mean, look, they used to be in our district and we couldn't beat them. I mean, and we've had some really good Rockport football teams the past few years. Laverne and Gonzales has been good as well. I mean, Gonzales is also a good team. They're very competitive, and they have been the last few years. But I think Lavernia, man, they're I don't know what they're doing in the off season. I don't know. I don't know. But Lavernia has just been impressive. It's kind of I kind of find it hard to believe that they haven't really made a deep run. Towards state. But I know they're a playoff. I mean, they're a playoff team. But they've been very competitive, and I'm going to go off of that. I think Lavernia is going to take that one for sure.
Johnny, who do you have, Lavernia or Gonzales?
I'm going to go with Lavernia just because of also previous years. They've always been that great team. They're building up something over there. They got something going on over there. They got their 2 wins against Navarro and Cuero. Cuero I thought was a good win, but when you beat Navarro, they ain't a pushover team. And you lose by 4 points against LaGrange. So they're scoring some points. You lose a game, you score 28 points. You're doing something right in Lavernia and stuff like that. And then looking over the other side of Gonzales, they're 0-3. They're only averaging 11 points a game, pretty much. You can't win ball games averaging 11 points a game. So I think we'll go with Lavernia on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Lavernia too. I saw that Lavernia will win this game. I don't think Gonzales can beat them. And Lavernia's looking really good so far early in the season. And they're going to get better. They've been competitive for years now. They don't make deep runs in the playoffs. I think they did a couple of years ago, but I think they're going to beat Gonzales. And it's going to be good. It's going to be interesting to see how far Lavernia goes this year. I think they can do a couple of rounds in the playoffs. They're very impressive. They got a good football team out there. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with Lavernia to beat Gonzales in this one as well. How about Jordanton Indians and the Canyon Lake Hawks? Johnny, who do you have, Canyon Lake or Jordanton?
Ooh.
This is a good one. This is a really, really good one.
It is a good one. I like the way Canyon Lake put away Beeville. That impressed me. They barely lost against Wimberley, 24-22. So that's their only loss. Is Canyon Lake's only loss, which is real good. To me, that's that game right there is basically a pretty good win. You know, looking on the other side with Jordanton, uh, they had 2 wins against Pleasanton, which have only scored 10 points in 3 games. So to me, that was an impressive win. And then, hey, what's the town of Natalia?
Natalia.
Natalia. Who is that?
They're
Who is
small. I don't know. I don't even know.
Yeah,
Second win. You
I hear
know?
what you're saying. I hear what you're saying.
But just by who they've been playing against, you're gonna get wins if you're playing against Oso and Robstown. Those are gonna be your 2 wins. But you're playing Canyon Lake's playing Beeville, Wimberley. Yeah, I think I'll go with Canyon Lake on this just because the competition they've been facing.
Tony, what do you got?
I think I'm gonna go with Canyon Lake too. I think it will be a decent game, but I think Canyon Lake is I think Canyon Lake is gonna come out in the second half and score a lot of points on. I think it'll be one of those halftime. Man, that is a close game, and then Canyon Lake comes out and wins. We just talked about Lavernia a little while ago. We talked about they just barely lost to Lagrange. Canyon Lake played Lagrange 2 weeks ago, and they beat them 61-23. And we know how good Lavernia is. So and Lagrange beat Lavernia. No. Let's see. Yeah, Lagrange beat Lavernia, right?
Yeah, 32-28.
Yeah. So Lagrange beat Lavernia, and then Canyon Lake comes out and whips Lagrange. Yeah, I think Canyon Lake is going to take that in the second half and make it look like a Miller Sinton second half. That's what I think.
Yeah, I'm taking Canyon Lake too. Jordanton did hang a little bit in week 2 with Cal Allen, but not by much. Cal Allen ended up scoring 50-some points on them. So I don't think they'll be competitive with Canyon Lake. I think Canyon Lake's going to take this game easily as well, and it might just be a high scoring game. So I'm going to take Canyon Lake too over Jordanton. I don't think Canyon Lake will lose that game. So the 3 of us are taking Canyon Lake, and then the last game on our schedule for week 4 for the Gridiron 64 podcast is, of course, our Rockport Fourth and Pirates. They're going to be playing that high power offense. The Miller Bucks are coming into Rockport on Friday. So I know we'll spend, this game will be the last one that we talk about because I know you guys are going to have some input, a little bit more input than the other games on what we think and what happened. And so, Tony, I'm going to let you take first shot at this. The Miller Bucks are coming into Pirate Stadium on Friday. Now, Rockport hasn't practiced in 2 weeks. The only time we've seen our Pirates on the football field was, week 1 against Aransas, and we saw some things that they had, but it was kind of almost expected. There were no 2 days. We've got a young quarterback back there for the first time, freshman quarterback, taking the reins. So, you kind of almost expected that we're going to have to, it's going to be a learning process, but we real quickly, some unexpected things happened. We were going to play Miller the next week anyway, so we were going to have to get ready for them. But due to some circumstances, Rockport was off 2 weeks, so here comes Miller Friday. Tell us who you think is going to win. What's your prediction, and kind of give us how you think this game is going to go on Friday.
Yeah. So. I know we talked last week. Maybe the break would give them more time to prepare, and then we're like, no, because they weren't able to practice. So for all those who are listening and don't know, Rockport has not practiced until yesterday, until Saturday. They had a Saturday practice, so they have not practiced. So they have not been somewhere preparing for Miller. But I'm gonna say this about Miller. I don't think Miller's played a team that's going to run the ball as well as Rockport will run the ball. what we saw in the Rams pass game, the exchange from the QB to the running back got to get cleaned up. We probably had 10 fumbles like that. If we when we did have a clean exchange, we ran the ball. We ran the ball well. Offensive line was pushing that defensive line. I mean, we controlled the clock. And if we could do that against Miller, if we control the clock and we keep their offense off of the field, I think, one of the things I saw in Miller is they have a extremely explosive offense, but they also let Sinton throw all over them. You know what I mean? Their defense wasn't really battle tested with the run. And Rockford's kind of the opposite. They haven't been battle tested through the air, but they had minimal yards rushing allowed against the Rams pass. So I think that if Rockport keeps their offense on the field, runs the ball down Miller's throat, kind of the way they've played the last few years, I think that I feel confident that if they can do that and make them stop defensively and the secondary, I think that'll take the wind out of Miller's game plan, and I think they'll break down. So Rockport just needs to play, again, all 4 quarters. Rockport came out in the second half against Aransas and only played the second half. They need to play the first and second half against Miller. The game gets away. It's going to be hard to play from behind against a team like Miller. So I think they need to get on them, and they need to get on them quick and keep their offense off the field.
So you're predicting Rockport?
Rockport.
You want to give a score?
It's going to be close. It's going to come down. It's my prediction. I know they put a whipping down on Sinton, but Sinton's 0-3. So we talk about setting yourself up for a tough district. I don't think Miller did that with their picks, with their preseason picks. TM, Sinton. I think this is going to be the toughest game that they play, and it's going to be the toughest game that we play. I'm thinking period until we make the playoffs, because I don't think anyone in district's gonna give us the kind of competition that Miller's going to give us. It's going to be close. I think it's going to come down to who can play all 4 quarters and who can make the most stops. So I can't really. I mean, it's close. It's going to be close.
Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that close game. Johnny, who do you got? You got Miller coming into town. So are you taking Rockport or are you taking Miller?
Well,
he did say Miller 2 weeks ago.
Well, let me get to the end of that one. Well, obviously, man, like Tony was saying, Rockport's gonna take that ball control. Keep that ball away from Miller. Keep that explosion. Just stop it. Don't give the Miller ball. Don't be like Sinton. Don't try to like run and gun with them. You would not make it. You run out of gas. You would not make it. These backs need to be comfortable and not get frustrated. I mean, a lot of these backs are used to like playing, they're used to busting long. They're used to these 20, 40, 60, 78 yards touchdowns. They need to be patient. They need to be satisfied with these 3-4 yards, 3-4 yards, 3-4 yards. They'll eat up 8 minutes off that clock on an 80-yard drive. 8 minutes off that clock. You only played 12 minutes in high school. Back in the days, we had Sinton that had the high explosive offense. We did that same thing, just the 2-3-4 yards, 2-3-4 yards. Sinton only carried the ball, only got the one possession in the first quarter. That's what it takes. Don't panic. These guys cannot panic. 3-4 yards. Be satisfied with that. 3-4 yards. These guys are so used to busting. So that's one thing that they do work on. Or hopefully they don't. The other thing is the hand. The exchanges. Hopefully they really clear that out. First week's gone. I just worry about our defensive backs. That's my main concern. A real concern about me is the defensive backs. I hope we have a little freshman. I mean, not freshman, a fresh group of kids. Every 3-4 plays. Get them out there. Use your best athletes. Not necessarily your first string defense. Use your best athletes out there. I've seen it in the past. Where old Chase Rios, they brought him off the offense, put him back there, defensive back. He was a big help back there. Again, use your athletes. They need to use their athletes. Just don't run gun with Miller because you will not get there. You got to have easy ball control, just over ball control, and the mistakes got to be down. I want to say Rockport on this one.
I feel a butt coming on, Tony. I feel a butt coming on.
I mean, I said Miller has just been scoring week after week after week. And I think I said that about one game earlier about Beeville having, I think it was Beeville that had 3 games under them against another team only having 1. And that's what I'm kind of going by right now. Miller's going with 3 games, 3 explosive games, and we're going by a barely win over Randy. I know there was a lot of mistakes. I think these 2 weeks off would have helped us in the middle of the season, maybe, for resting some players. But I think these 2 weeks might have hurt us because we still haven't got the feel of the game yet. So I think we're still going to work on a couple of things, little tweaks here and there. And I'm sadly going to say that Miller's going to pull this one off. Not giving a prediction, though. Won't do a prediction.
All right, no prediction. Well, 2 weeks ago, I predicted Rockport, and I'm going to stay with Rockport. I know it's a prediction that most people say, but how do you predict Rockport? He's got to be going on that prediction just because he's a Pirate. He's from Rockport. Because any person that sees this logical, right, would say they didn't have any stake in the game. I'm not from Miller, not from Rockport. Would say Miller would win because Miller. Rockport hasn't played. They weren't really dominant in against the Ramses Pass in week 1, and then they haven't played in 2 weeks. And then looking at Miller's game against Sinton, everybody would say, Miller's a team, and I understand that. But I've seen, Coach Seibert and his staff have been in Rockport now for 7 years, and in all 7 years, the one thing I can say a lot of things about this coaching staff, but their kids come well prepared. These kids believe in the system. Some of these kids have been there, 3 years playing on varsity, and these younger kids have gotten a taste. And these young guys that are juniors this year, they've been winners, man. They've dominated their district. So what I'm saying is, there's leaders on the football team. These guys are like, they got a strong bond. They're just not, and I think this is going to come in handy too. They're not just we meet on the football field. They hang out. They're like brothers off the field. You see them always hanging out. They know each other very well, and I think that's going to play big in a game like this. Where you know each other, you play ball with each other. Maybe not necessarily many years on varsity, but you played from 7th grade. And some of these guys played youth together and against each other. And so I think the coaches will have these kids prepared. I do see that Rockport will make some mistakes. They're not going to come out after 2 weeks off and not have penalties and not have fun, but it's just not going to happen. I don't, it's not going to happen. They're gonna make some mistakes. They're gonna burn that secondary. They're that good. Miller's that good. And so what I'm saying is, when you've got to play 4 quarters. Now, this is the one game where Tony always talks about 4 quarters. Rockport needs to play 4 quarters. So when you make a mistake, you got to shake it off and get back on that field. When they burn you on a long pass, you just got to let it go and come back and play another. You got to play defense again. And I think if Rockport's defense can do that, understand who you're playing against. You just need to understand this is a high explosive offense. If you think you're going to shut them down, that's not going to happen. They're going to get their plays. They're going to score. Understand what that offense wants to do, but there are ways of slowing them down. Don't try to shut them down completely, but slow them down. And what I mean by that is that when they don't miss a tackle, strip the ball, as you saw our defense do against Wembley that kept us in the game. Cause those turnovers, get those tackles. We start missing tackles, game's going to get away from us. We start getting penalties and penalties, game's going to get away from us because we can't sustain, we can't play against a team like Miller if we have penalties and we have fumbles and we can't tackle. So tackling when they catch the ball is big. Uh, Causing some turnovers and keeping those penalties at bay, meaning, minimize them as much as possible. Be ready to play because the one thing Rockport does have over Miller is we can run that ball. We can run. I mean, we've seen that in years where we've had no passing game, and Rockport's we've gone deep in the playoffs with just a run. Teams knowing that Rockport can't throw, and still we were able to win some games big. So in 7 years, we've been in the playoffs I think, 6 times. This is the 7th year. So we've gone, twice. 3 times we've gone to the second round, and 3 times we've gone to the third round. So what I'm saying here is that we've got a formula that we can hang with Miller because we run the ball. That's our bread and butter. That's what we do. We've got 3 backs very capable of being able to get those 3-4 yards that Johnny's talking about. But the one thing that Rockport can do this year that we didn't do very well in the past years is we can also throw the ball now. And so if we can establish a run game without penalties and keep those drives going and get into a rhythm, that Miller defense then has to adjust to stopping that run. And we got a quarterback, even though he's a freshman, he's got an arm and he can throw. And that'll, I think, will open up the passing game to at least be able to match, Miller on the football field. Make it competitive. We can do that. 2 different styles. Miller's going to want to come in and score as quick as possible. Rockport needs to just kind of grind that ball, wear that defense down, and let's hit it with, our back. Let's go with the speed and the power, and just let those big old guys, that Rockport offensive line just better, because if you sustain drives of 5 or 6 minutes and you're getting those yards, that Miller defense is going to get tired. And it's also going to frustrate that Miller offense if they have to be standing out on that sideline. So that's the formula. Now, the way I think that Rockport, the game can get away from us, because I think we can do that. I think we can get those 3-4 yards against that Miller defense. Against, at least what I saw from sitting, you can run against them. The thing that is gonna be very interesting is we can't kill ourselves with turnovers and with penalties. We get into those 3rd and 15s, 3rd and 12s, we ain't gonna make it. We need to play almost flawless football, and we need to be able to grind those 4 or 5 yards, 3-4 yards, because Jay's gonna go for it on 4th and 3. We've seen him do that before. He's not all about punting. He knows he's got that offense. So there is a formula that can beat Miller, or at least compete with Miller. And I think Rockport has that on offense. Now on defense, the reason it's critical for Rockport to run those time off, because you don't want to put our defense. If we go 3 and out, it's going to be a long night for the Pirates, because we can't ask our defensive secondary to stop these guys. We got to keep Miller's offense on the sideline as much as possible. To give our defense time. If we're 3 and out, it's going to be a long night for the Pirates. So, and I said that was the way I thought that we could compete with Miller. I'm going to stick with Rockport. I'm a little concerned simply because I think there's going to be rust at the start of the game for Rockport, because they just got to get back in the rhythm. The question is going to be, can we overcome that quickly, or is it going to take till the 3rd quarter? Because if it takes till the second half, like it did against the Rams, then it will be done. We need to score. We need to be able to do that. So if the first drive, if we've got those turnovers, we got to clean that up quickly and be competitive in the 1st and 2nd, 3rd, 4th quarter. So that's the only thing that really has me concerned, is they haven't been able to practice, like Tony said. And so that worries me. Not being able to practice, you come out on Friday, you're going to have some rust. But I'm hoping that they can clean it up. And the way I look at Rockport to win this game and be competitive is on that run, not the pass, on that run. And we do have, Rockport's a running game. We're a running team. So hopefully we'll be able to do that, sustain drives, but we've got to score too. We can't just get the ball for 6-7 minutes and not score. We've got to be able to score touchdowns when we keep those drives. So we'll see what happens. I'm looking for it to be competitive. And if Rockport doesn't win, I still want it. I want it to be competitive. What I don't want is for them to come in here and beat us 62-14. That's not what Rockport needs. I don't think it'll happen, but then again, I don't know. So I'm going to stick with the Pirates. I'm going to stick with my Pirates, and if they're going to get the win, we're going to have some rust, guys. It's expected with the 2-week layoff that these guys have not even been able to get on that practice field. So we'll see what happens. But it's going to be a good game. I'm taking my Pirates, and I just hope it's a competitive game. But that's the formula I think that can beat Miller. So, we'll see what happens. On Friday, we'll be playing. The Miller Bucks will be coming to town this Friday on the 18th at 7:30 p.m. We'll be there. And, if you can't make the game will be live on Pirates Cove. I think it's the RF Varsity page. And then Jamie McAllister also has it live through his own personal page. So, no worries if you can't make the game or you didn't get a ticket. You can always watch it on those 3 pages. And I've seen them, man. It's good video. Jamie does a really awesome job for us, and so we're proud to have him. We're glad that he does this for us. So tune in. I think it's going to be a good game, guys. And so I look forward to seeing you guys on Friday here at Pirate Stadium. And so that'll conclude the games for Week 4 on the Gridiron 64 podcast. We'll be back on Saturday, and we'll break these games down and see how well these teams did. And we'll see how well we did on our predictions, and then we'll break each game down for you guys and let you know what we saw and if there were any upsets, if there are going to be any upsets. But until next week, before we go, Tony, is there anything you want to add before we go?
I just wanna talk about something that's kind of real serious right now. For the players, for the staff, the coaching staffs, and the fans, the parents. I mean, we got to do our part to keep these kids safe. So that they're able to play these games. I mean, some of these guys are seniors. I mean, look at what happened to the seniors last year. They couldn't finish off their basketball games, their baseball seasons. I mean, we got to keep these kids safe. We got to try to practice social distancing as much as we can. Fans in the stands, wear your mask. We want these boys to be able to have a season. You know what I mean? And for the players, I mean, I know you want to hang out, but do it responsibly. These kids need to get back to school. I think that's important. So, I mean, just whatever you can do, to stay safe, do it. Think about the future of these kids.
Absolutely. That's very well said. We have sports, but there comes responsibility with the sports, Tony. And one of the things as parents, we got a responsibility, to be that role model for the kids, right? So you talk about social distancing and you talk about masks and you talk about this stuff. We've got to lead by example. We can't just, I can't tell my kids, hey, wear a mask, and then they see me not wearing a mask. I've got to be able to play the part as a parent. So we're role models. Talk to your kids. This is a very different, season than we've had ever that I can remember. So, to continue to play sports, to continue to for our kids to stay safe while they're going to school, those that are going to school, we've got a responsibility. We've got to talk to our kids and remind them daily, the importance of wearing a mask, social distancing, getting out. If you're playing sports, get straight home, man. This is not the time to be out there hanging out at the beach and doing all these other things, that we need to be doing. This is a time where we still got the pandemic out there. It's still very serious. The winter time is coming. We don't know what we're facing. We don't have a vaccine. So continue to talk to your kids, especially those that are, playing athletes that are playing, competition with other kids in other schools. That as soon as it's done, make sure you're getting home. Make sure you're doing the things you need to do to continue, because we want sports to continue. But more importantly, we want the kids, the coaches, the staff. We want everybody to stay safe. So we have a responsibility to do things. It's not a time to be out partying at the beach and stuff. It's just not the time to do that. Take precaution, be careful, and let's move forward. And I pray that none of these kids, coaches, or anybody, ends up getting sick from this virus. I'm glad that football's back. I love football. I love getting on this podcast and talking about it. In the back of my mind, guys, I always got, the health of those coaches and those players, and hope that they can get home, they can be safe while it's football season, or if it's softball season, or baseball, or basketball, volleyball, whatever's going on. We want to make sure that our kids and coaches are safe, and even the fans that attend these games, right? We want to make sure that the parents of whoever's attending these games are doing it in a manner where they can get back home and safe. We don't want this virus to spread any more than it has already, with all the deaths that it's taken from this world. So we do have a responsibility, Tony, and I thank you for taking the initiative of talking about that, because that's something that is important. We can't forget, we all get caught up in sports and stuff, but we can't forget what's on the back burner there, what's lurking us. We still got to maintain our distance, face mask, and we got to stay as healthy as possible. But with all that being said, I am glad that sports are back. We talked earlier on this podcast about NFL, college, and high school being back. But we do have a responsibility, and we want our kids to stay safe, right? So thanks a lot for bringing that up, on this podcast. Johnny, do you have anything else you want to add before we shut it down?
Now, just glad football's all back. I'm glad Rockport's back. Sorry I missed that. My phone got too hot. It shut down.
I knew you would come back. Yeah, no, but at the same time, guys, I'm glad that we're able to break these games down. And just once again, I just want to remind everybody, if you can't make the game on Friday night, it's going to be live. Pirates Cove, I think it's RF Varsity
Football.
Page, yeah, the page, and Jamie McAllister also has his live. Some of you guys are friends with Jamie, he'll have it live from his own personal page. So thank you guys again. I'll see you guys back on Saturday. I guess before I leave, there is something that the guys and I have been discussing, some changes that we'll make to the podcast. So once the season ends, we're working on when the playoffs start, the high school playoffs start, we're going to be going live. So when we come on and do the Gridiron 64 podcast, it's not going to be like it is now, and then uploading and you guys seeing it maybe later on that day or the next day early in the morning. We're actually going to be going live. So we'll be setting up a schedule when the playoffs start, and we'll come in, and the teams that are in the playoffs we'll be discussing like we do right now. But we'll be putting out the schedule and the time, the date and time that we'll be doing it. So as we go live on Gridiron 64 podcast, you guys that are a part or members of the podcast, you'll get that notification. Or if you're not, you want to tune in, we'd like to hear what you got to say. You don't have to come on the podcast if you don't want to, but comment, talk about the games, these games that we talk about, or even if it's a game that we haven't discussed. If you have a team out there that we don't discuss, hey, we want to hear you on the comment sections and tell us, hey, how about talking about this team, or how about talking about that team? Let us know if you want to talk about a team, and then we'll put it on there. We'll do our research, and we'll put that team on our schedule. We'll talk about it. So just make sure that I just wanted to put that out there. We still got a couple of weeks before we go live, but we are planning on doing that on the first round of the playoffs, high school playoffs. So we'll see how that goes. That's going to be real interesting. But I'm looking forward to it. I know you guys are looking forward to it. So with that being said, guys, if there's nothing else, I'll talk to you guys on Saturday. We'll break these games down. In the meantime, we got the Dallas Cowboys playing tonight at 7:20, and so I'm looking forward to watching that game. And let's just hope that the Cowboys win. I know Johnny and I are Cowboy fans. Tony, you're a Cowboy fan too, right?
Yeah.
So we got 3 Pirate fans here. We got 3 Cowboy fans. So I know this is a high school podcast, but man, let's just hope the Cowboys can go 1-0. Not start off 0-1. So we'll see what happens tonight. But until Saturday, guys, peace out. I'll see you guys on Saturday. Let's hope some of these teams. Let's see if Tony can get back to taking the lead, or is he gonna fall further down from first place?
Well, I think we all had the same picks.
Well, you picked one different than us two. Forgot which one that was, and then y'all two picked the Rockport over Mon Miller.
No,
Yeah.
Tony picked what was it? Which one was it? I have to take a look at my paper. I already put it up, but
he picked.
We all picked Canyon Lake. He didn't go with Westoso this week, but there was one. I'll have to take a look at it. There was one that you might get right, and I think Johnny and I might get wrong. Because I was thinking about changing it, but I said no. I'll have to take a look at it. We'll talk about it during the breakdown. We'll see what happens. But Tony could come up with a tie. We'll see what happens. Or do you have it there? Do you know which one he picked against us? Johnny? Do you know which one Tony picked? Do you know which one Tony picked that was not with us? Which game it was?
No, I can't remember.
Yeah, I got my paper. I'll take a look at it. I'll look back and I'll see. But well, guys, until Saturday, man, y'all have a good evening, good afternoon. Enjoy NFL football, and we'll talk back on Saturday.
All right. See you then.
Peace out.
Peace out.